Hello and welcome to Cat's Love. Thanks for coming to the second ever paranormal investigation. Today we are talking about a real story. A story of a cat that was buried and presumed dead just for it to come back 5 days later. The story began when a man named Ellis found his cat laying in the middle of the road in a puddle of blood. The cat was named Bart. Bart was a pretty old cat, and when his owner saw him in the state that he was in, he was presumed to be hit by a car. Ellis asked one of his friends to help bury Bart as Ellis was distraught in what had just happened. He had just lost his cat that he's had since the cat was a kitten. They were super close. Ellis couldn't stand burying him. Ellis's friend dug a hole and they buried Bart. All was well until Bart showed up in their neighbor's yard 5 days later. Bart was somehow alive after being hit by a car and buried alive for 5 days. He was dehydrated and weak, but alive. Ellis hears a knock at his door. He goes to answer it, and there's his neighbor with his week-long dead cat in her arms. Bart was rushed to the vet and was suffering from a broken jaw, open facial wounds, and a ruined eye. Ellis was in complete shock that Bart had managed to survive being hit by a car and buried alive. Ellis's neighbor set up a GoFundMe to help pay for Bart's vet bills. Now, that story did sound like it was straight out of Pet Sematary. 5 days of being buried alive after being hit by a car. That's harsh. It's a miracle that Bart was alive. Another true story about a cat who was presumed dead just for it to be alive happened not long ago in Maine. A cat was found trapped in ice and was presumed dead, but came back to life. This happened in Lincoln, Maine. Maine is known for its fair share of horror stories coming from Stephen King. We have all heard the stories about dead cats coming back to life from Stephen King, but this story, it happened in real life. The story started when some public work employees brought a frozen cat into the office. The cat was frozen to the point to where it was almost solid. It was stiff. It was completely unresponsive. A man named Lloyd was there at the time and was who the public workers showed the cat to. Lloyd wrapped the cat in a coat and put him on his desk in a sunspot as an act to warm him up or unthaw him. Eventually, the local Humane Society took over care. Once the cat arrived to Penobscot Valley Humane Society, it was not in good shape. Lloyd speculated if the cat had been frozen to the ground the night before, how bad it was. They checked the cat out and noticed that it was very dehydrated. So one of the vets named Meg started trying to hydrate the cat by feeding it water through a syringe. While she was doing that, she had realized that the cat's tongue was moving. The cat was involuntarily trying to drink as if it was drinking out of a water bowl. It was a really good sign, and it showed that the cat was alive. The workers who had brought it to the Public Works office originally had said that they found the cat in ice and had to dig it out. They visited the cat a little bit later and said, quote, "It don't even look like the same cat that we dug out of the ice, and that the cat got bigger and it looks 10 times better than before." The local news station that was covering the cat's story actually reached out to Stephen King. And he responded by saying a quote from his newest Pet Sematary movie that would be released in 2019.
"Sometimes dead is better."
But not in this case, we hope. Thanks for watching. These stories really do sound like they're straight out of Pet Sematary. Thanks for coming to the second paranormal investigation. In the next investigation, we're going to be delving into some short-formed cat horror stories. But until then, have a nice spooky evening. This has been Cat's Love. See you next investigation. And the cat came back the very next day. The cat came back. I thought he was a goner, which he was, 'cause he was buried for 5 days straight. I'm gonna go ahead and walk off camera, but the cat